From Abuja, the nation's capital, this is Matters Arising, coming to you live from the studio of KAFTAN TV. Matters Arising is the flagship talk show of KAFTAN television that features in-depth discussions and analysis of topical and trending national as well as international issues by our team of seasoned broadcast journalists. My name is Maucauley Hunohashi saying, thanks for joining us.
And I am John Okoro. Welcome to the program.
And I'm Evelyn Epelle. It's good to be here.
We welcome you to today's show, which promises to be engaging, incisive, and interactive. You can also be a part of the conversation by calling our phone number 002-993-8365, which will be displayed on your screen later in the course of the show. Okoro, do you know that when Evelyn was approaching the studio, you know, I already sat down. I saw an apparition, but upon approaching me, she was so angelic. And you know, with this white that she's putting on, don't you agree with me? You know, you're a poet, so am I right to describe as angelic?
Yeah, when you said, or when you say angelic, I'm also looking around her to see whether I will see the wings.
They could be hidden. So we need extra eyes. You know, we need the third eye, romantic third eye to see the wings.
I'm glad that our audience have now seen on camera what I go through every day in the hands of YouTube. Thank you.
Well, in the letter mood, before I introduce our topic of discussion, let's join our own Sifon Umo for a quick roundup of events and happenings in the polity.
The Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, has declared the Park and Pay scheme in the nation's capital illegal, citing some irregularities in the contract agreement between the managing contractors and the FCT. The minister said this on Wednesday during a media briefing to mark his 1 year in office. Wike said he was unaware of the reintroduced scheme, noting that the agreement had stipulated an 80% payback to the contractors, with only 20% of the total to be remitted to the administration. He added that he had since directed a statement be released to inform residents that the scheme was illegal, emphasizing that people should not be made to pay for parking in front of their businesses or places of residence. The air component of Operation Hadinkai has eliminated 5 key terrorist commanders alongside more than 35 fighters in successful air interdictions in Arena, southern Tumbunds of Borno. This is contained in a statement by the Director of Public Relations and Information, Nigerian Air Force, Edward Gapkwe, in Abuja on Wednesday. Gapkwe said the terrorist commanders killed in the airstrikes on August 16 include Monzira Rika, Sani Dila Amiru Modu, Dan Fulani, Fari, and Bakura Arina Chiki. He said the air interdiction was a decisive effort to further weaken the activities of remnants of terrorists operating in the northeast, while also protecting innocent civilians and troops. The Kanu Public Complaints and Anti-Corruption Commission has arrested 5 persons in connection with an alleged multi-billion naira drug purchase scam. The anti-graft agency said investigation of the alleged fraud involved all 44 local government areas of the state. The agency noted that it has arrested Garba Kwankwaso, managing director of a pharmaceutical company. Other persons arrested are Ibrahim Kabara, permanent secretary of Kano Ministry of Local Government and Chieftaincy Affairs, and Abdullahi Bashir, interim chairman of Tara Uni local government area. They are accused of violating public procurement laws by conspiring to award a contract for the supply of drugs to the local government areas. That is all on the news roundup. I am Sifon Umo.
Welcome back, and thank you, Sifon, for bringing us up to speed with news making the headlines. And now to our topic of discussion tonight, which is a look at the journey so far of the financial autonomy granted local governments of Nigeria by the Supreme Court. Today is exactly 1 month and 10 days after the Supreme Court of Nigeria delivered a landmark ruling that aimed at granting full financial autonomy to the 774 local government area councils of Nigeria. The suit, which was instituted by the Attorney General and Minister of Justice, Lateef Fagbemi, against the 36 states governors on 27 grounds was trailed by so much trepidation, pushbacks, and even utter confusion. Many Nigerians that have been in a state of anxiety about the implementation of the landmark ruling could heave a sigh of relief now due to the modicum of respite that seemed to be on the horizon, with a 10-member committee that was set up by the federal government to enforce the Supreme Court judgment. And membership of the committee include chairman of the committee, the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Senator George Akume, the Attorney General of the Federation, Minister of Finance and the Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Attorney General of the Federation, like I mentioned earlier, and Minister of Budget and Economic Planning, Attorney General of the Federation, Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, Federal Minister of Finance, Chairman, Revenue Mobilization, Allocation and Fiscal Commission, as well as representatives of state governors and local government chairmen. A statement from the Office of the Secretary to Government of the Federation says the committee's primary goal is to ensure that local governments are granted full autonomy, allowing them to function effectively without interference from state governments. So here we are. Nigerians are full of anxiety after that landmark judgment on the 11th of July 2024, granting full financial autonomy to local governments of Nigeria, 774 of them. Like I mentioned earlier in that introduction, it was trailed by so much trepidation, pushbacks, and reactions. Some of the reactions include those emanating from state governors. Some of them, particularly the governor of Adamawa State, approached Supreme Court, the same Supreme Court that gave that ruling. He approached the court for what he referred to as interpretation of the judgment. And then some state governors, including that of Adamawa as well, rushed to set up dates for elections, and they did hold elections, and they have local governments chairman in place with their councillors, and you and I know that there was no clean slate election, because the governor that is in the saddle will ensure that all the seats are won by the chairman from his own party. And what baffled me was the decision by 33 local government chairmen of Oyo State that said they were withdrawing. They wrote a letter to their umbrella organization, said they were withdrawing their membership from ALGON, Association of Local Governments of Nigeria. So there have been so much confusion within the space, but thank God this committee that has been set up by the federal government to be chaired or headed by the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, George Akume, to my mind is laudable, it is auspicious, but we wait to see what unfolds in the coming days.
Yeah, I like results. And the thing about when you're actually doing your job and producing results is that you don't necessarily talk too much about what you're doing, because the results are there and they're tangible, they're measurable. We can feel it, touch it, smell it, we can see it. The confusion, you talked about anxieties that Nigerians are having, is as a result of you hear some results or some impact reports about things that are going on.
That's right.
But ordinarily, the places we wake up, eat, sleep, breathe, we don't see these things that are being spoken about these results. And I'll give a very good example. Last week, right here in the studio, some people might say this is PR for our studio, but last week when I came here, and I was on the 7 p.m. newscast, I pointed out to them that it would be nice to have a large screen on the wall, and we can also have like mics or headphones so I could hear them from the studio. And that was last week Wednesday. Yes. And I walked into the studio this evening, and the screen is right there. And it was this one suggestion I made. It was suggestion you made? Yeah. I didn't even speak to the head of station. I made the comment when I arrived for the newscast, and I was like, intuitively, it would be nice to have a screen here so that when you're reading the newscast, you see yourself. And it's a week without, I don't even know.
It's less than a week.
It's less than a week.
You mentioned that on Friday.
Yeah, I have no idea who, I need to find out who took what I said, the suggestion I made, and, you know, took it to the head of station, and there was a procurement process.
Well, what was the result?
The point that I'm trying to make with the example is that there are immediate results from just a single, I didn't say it twice. I didn't even go to the head of station to talk about it. I only gave a suggestion that something great will happen. At what point would we start seeing that level of commitment and seriousness from our leaders? You know, so it's good to hear, you know, I like, and today I made up my mind that I want to sound positive, and I don't want to spend too much time making people who are already anxious and angry even further irritated, you know. So maybe we should stay on the little things that they've done and clap and say congratulations, but we want to see them do more things.
Okay.
You know, I'm a little bit sad.
Oh my God.
It has to take the federal government, you know, to actually intervene in what is happening in the states. Happening at a time when we've been talking about devolution of powers to the subnationals, and the federal government allowing the subnationals to actually stand on their own, so that this thing we call the dividends of democracy would actually go directly to the people. However, here we are today, the federal government has to set up a committee to go and intervene in local government affairs. So for me, it is saddening. Now, the problem is not that we don't have the laws. Because if you look at the Constitution actually tabled down everything on how the local government should be administered, including the financial autonomy. However, because of weak institutions and strong men and also women, we have found ourselves. I didn't point at her. You looked at her. I had to look at her. I was also looking at you. I was also looking at you. You understand? So, you know, so because of this, if not, we have everybody. I believe that as of today, that we should be thinking about restructuring, thinking about resource control, thinking about devolution of more powers to the subnationals. But today we are still talking about federal government setting up a 10-man committee to go and intervene in something that ordinarily shouldn't have been a problem.
Okay.
Yeah.
You understand?
And the word autonomy has been defeated now, because what's the autonomy? There's an intervention.
Because the problem, as I said before, is not the issue of not having the right laws. Even if you take away the Supreme Court judgment, which has actually come to embellish what is already known within the Constitution, because that's what, or trying to enforce it. You understand? If ordinarily that we will have to follow our laws, we don't have to come, because even in the Constitution, whether it is in all the section, whether it is in section 7 or whether it is in section 162, there's no way the law says that governors or the state assemblies should appropriate funds accruable to the local government. It's not anywhere in our laws. But these things are happening. Why are they happening? Because we have strong people, strong men, and weak institutions. So now, even with this law in place as it is today, the Supreme Court judgment, still, you just mentioned about some local government chairmen in some states who said that they want to go out of the umbrella body of local government chairmen in Nigeria. Why? Because they are still tied to the apron strings of the governor of the state.
Okay. Well, I just want to remind our viewers at this point that our producer is going to display the telephone number on your screen so that you can begin to call in to participate by making the program conversational. It is right there on your screen. You can see it. Well, John and Evelyn, you know, I begin to wonder. The Constitution, like you rightly mentioned, recognizes 3 tiers of government: federal, state, and the local governments. But the question that comes to my mind all the time, you know, is that why would someone that is elected and he knows that his office is ephemeral, you know, begin to scuttle something that is viable, that is futuristic. I'm talking about local government that is the closest tier to the people, that should be saddled with, the responsibility to develop, to provide the evidence of governance or expectations of good governance at the grassroots level. But someone up there who was equally elected, because of the misnomer that has been in place, and that has to do with the joint account issue that has been in place, that his position is ephemeral. It's transient. It's going to end. But the position of local government chairman is also ephemeral. But it is viable because it is the closest tier to the people. So because of your selfish and personal ambition, you don't want to contribute in entrenching something that is enduring, that is sustainable, that will outlive you. You just want to scuttle it because of your selfish. So I just begin to, and I cannot fathom the reason why. Let's say this is called Evelyn because you're itching to say something. Hello, good evening. This is Matters Arising.
Okay, good evening. This is your friend Gil.
Okay, you are a regular caller. Thanks for joining us. We don't take it for granted. Go ahead, please, sir.
I called earlier on this afternoon, but I was not clarified.
Okay.
When the Supreme Court gives a judgment that the election is notified, does it take effect immediately? Why I'm saying this is that the Supreme Court said there is no local government, whatever again. So the idea of coming out with other payment committees, I'm looking at tomorrow, this thing, people will challenge the issue. When the Supreme Court said you are being removed from office, start from that minute. Now, the Supreme Court said there is no caretaker. I'm confused. Some person has said parading as caretakers, and nothing is happening. I don't know. We are looking at Supreme Court, so I'm not a lawyer. I don't know much about it. So they should try and interpret this thing. Now, the idea of local government autonomy, the committee has come again. Some governments are sitting their chairs, they won't work, they will operate, they will still do their normal whatever.
Okay.
The policy they apply at the Supreme Court, so for we the layman, they should please educate us. Because in terms of election, they will say, from now, you are being removed from the office and you just pull out. But that of the local government autonomy, we don't understand. Thank you. Thank you, your friend.
Thank you, Gil, from thank you so much.
You have to remind us he's our friend.
Yes, he's our friend.
So I want to talk about the concept of shared prosperity, right? The idea that you and I and Mr. John can be successful and thrive within this space as equally successful people. I think that is not a culture that we have entrenched in the Nigerian society. The Nigerian society is largely filled with people who are even terrified of success, right? And it's so much so that I even hear interpretations of this in such a way that earlier today I had a taxi driver telling me that the reason certain persons do not support in mentor-mentee relationships, the reason that a mentee or a mentor would not support their mentee to become overly successful, even more successful than them, is because they fear that the mentee would become wild or would sort of become arrogant. So what they try to do is to manage the level of success in such a way that you are perpetually their mentee. There is never a point you get to where you now become even more successful than your mentor.
There can be role reversal.
Yes. And so that's the prevailing mentality that we work with. And you were talking about how is it that they don't see that. So even when you cite the success coming, you will do you as the mentor will do everything in your power to kill it and stop it and prevent it from happening, because it's like, oh, this guy I used to give transport money is suddenly telling me he wants to import a car or something.
Okay, let's take this caller. Hello, good evening. This is Matters Arising. Please Say something. You're on. Go ahead, Evelyn.
So I want to see more, and now I'm an avid caller for the National Orientation Agency. And I love the agency so much. I think the work and the vision and the mandate that they have is very critical to our national development. But I want to see more from them in terms of sensitization of the public and building a cohesive idea around shared prosperity. Because that's something that's lost on us. And that's the reason our leaders would go to climate conferences in Dubai, go to IMF spring meetings in America, and they would see develop infrastructure, and they see good thing, lovely roads, and when they come back home, they are unable to implement it because something is telling them that if their security man has an opportunity to sit on a big chair on the 80th floor like they did in New York, that he would no longer be their security man again. And so we try to kill progress before the progress even has a chance
to rear its head.
So I think it's a trauma response that comes out of that cycle of poverty. Poverty is with some people's grandparents and great-grandparents were poor. They were poor. So they've been traumatized by it.
Let's take this caller before John says something.
Yes.
Hello, good evening. This is Matters Arising from KAFTAN Television Live. Please, your name, please, and where you're calling from. Good evening. We can't hear you. You're not audible enough. Okay. All right, we lost the caller.
Yes, just to continue in the same trajectory that I was at the beginning, the issue of local government autonomy, the way we are looking at it today, the way it is today in terms of federal government intervening, shouldn't have been so. If we have a saner system, in our governance process, it shouldn't have been so, because it's not the issue of the law. The law is well stated and well spelled out in terms of who has this responsibility. However, at the state level, everything now turned around. Now, if you look at what are the issues in the within that local government threshold or bracket, the issue is that you send money at the federal level, the allocation goes to a joint account. Now, this joint account is supposed to be one for the state. In fact, the amount accruable to the state is known, is specified. The ones accruable to the local governments are also specified. So ordinarily, the local government, the state assemblies should appropriate these monies for the local government, and you send every single kobo that belongs to the local government should go straight to the local government, and then you supervise what the local government people are going to be doing with the money. But the most important thing here is that the aim is to allow the local governments to be developed in terms of personnel and in terms of capital projects. Because there are responsibilities that the law has given to local governments to do, and they have to do it with money coming from the federal government and also coming from the IGR of the local governments. However, when these funds now get to the local government councils, then the governors, in collaboration with the state assemblies and also the local government chairmen themselves, will now just appropriate this money for themselves. Meanwhile, the real deal, which is the development of the grassroots, is now left to tatters. And today, before, the ratio of rural-urban migration was a little bit tilted to the local. You had about 60% of Nigerians residing in the local areas. But today, everybody is migrating to the cities and urban areas, stretching the infrastructure in these cities, simply because the local government system is dead. There's no single economy in our communities today because but that wasn't so. I grew up in the local government. I only left my local government when I went to secondary school. I was born in the village, grew up in the village, lived under the local government, and I enjoyed the local government system.
Okay, village man, let's
no wonder he's so disciplined, huh?
Good evening, this is Matters Arising.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening, go ahead, your name and where you're calling from.
My name is Ola, I'm calling from Lagos.
Ola from Lagos, go ahead, 30 seconds, give us your thoughts.
I just want to say this, that on this issue of local government financial autonomy, I initially want to toe the part of Iblis because it's said she wants to be friendly and she wants to be positive. This is and I want to agree with that because I followed that. But notwithstanding, we need to say things as it is, as it were.
Yeah.
Now, if you look at what is happening now, it is a foundational problem and it's systemic. The set of people that are intervening in the issue of local government now, if you look back to their history, you will discover that they have also gone through this path, that it has been all around the conspiracy of political elites. That the local government has been caged, and they have used local government as their own stooge and tool. So regardless of whatever interpretation given by the courts, they have studied how to manipulate all those things into their favor. And that's why if you check what used to happen, for example, in Lagos State before, in the days of the current president was governor, when election takes place, you will see that the political party of the governor will win all the elections. That's to tell you that the democracy or the democratic tendency that has been put in place, has already put in place. People, the so-called chairman has been appointed, not elected, not selected. So when you bring all those things together, now they have advanced to the top level, and they have studied that environment, that what the ladder you have enjoyed, you want to take it away. And that is why some local government have the guts in Oyo State to say they are moving out. I even watched the clip saying that we are committed to the government, because that has been the base. And when the foundation is destroyed, what shall the righteous do? So what we need to do now is this, that the orientation and the systemic issue that has been in place has to be first corrected, so that the psyche of you politically has to be reorientated. And that's why we have been clamoring that even the National Orientation Agency, they have work to do beyond the citizen, even to the so-called political elite, so that everybody will see that there is a position for the federal government, state government, and local government. Go to a travel of business. All those things that are done within the local industry are done by local government. You don't have to be shouting federal. But because they have caged them, there are some of them that even make the guys that sold their thoughts, they will just look at you and say, you can become a local government, and the man say yes, okay, go and become the local government. So and it's happening like that. And that is what has cascaded. They have become like a slave to the governor, and they want that to continue. So there should be a reorientation, there should be a systemic change that will really make the interpretation in the court to come to place, to come to manifest, so that things can work the way it should. Let me say that, Evelyn, I'm not disappointed. You have told your life. I'm being positive. I remain positive. I will continue to remain positive so that things can work.
Amen.
Thank you so much. That was really nice. Mr. Hunohashi,
is positive.
My fan base is growing. I have 2 fans now.
You have 2 fans now. Fans are growing.
It's okay.
But Evelyn, it may interest you to know that, with the benefit of hindsight, when at the advent of this democratic journey in 1999, local government chairmen were very, very powerful. If you remember, they even launched 1,000 private jeeps, under the auspices of Algon, the umbrella organization. Many of them were even contesting the seat of their governors. I remember there was a state, the national president of Algon then was contesting the seat of his own state governor for 2027. 2007. And then it created friction between that man and the state governor, because they control so much funds, so much money, and that umbrella organization gave men, grip over, the structure at the grassroots level.
Let's even think about what he was saying now, that people would vote along the lines of the party of the governor.
Yes.
For all of the local governments in that state. So they prefer that the local government chairmen are in the same party with the governor. And the reasoning behind that, which shouldn't be in a democratic society, is that if my local government chairman is not in the same party as the governor, then our local government will not be favored, and our local government will be cut short from development agenda and all of the benefits. But that shouldn't be the case, because now it means that people are voting out of fear and out of the anxiety that if I don't vote in this way, even if that way I want to vote is not necessarily a choice of mine, but because I know that this is the outcome. And you always hear people say things like, oh, that is how Nigeria is.
It's a Nigerian team.
And it's so painful, because you might think that this idea that, oh, this is how Nigeria is among adults.
Hold on, let's take this call.
Yeah.
Good evening. This is Matters Arising from KAFTAN Television, please. Go ahead.
Hello.
We can hear you.
My name is Tichani Samaila. You are calling from Gombe State.
From where? Gombe State?
Yeah, Gombe State.
Okay, go ahead, Samaila.
Yes. This issue of local government financial autonomy.
Yeah.
You know, in our state here, the local government chairman, they have the same party with the government.
Of course, what do you expect?
So we need the federal government to pay attention that the local government chairman should be dissolved and do election, so that the governor is in APC. We don't like APC in our local government. So they just put aside this chairman this person to be our chairman. We need to conduct election. We need to do election.
And make a choice.
You need to select your preferred candidate. Yeah. Okay.
Because if we can continue like that, this chairman, he can obey what the government, the directive of the government, then they are going to pack our local government money and do something. I don't know how to put it.
Thank you, Samaila.
Yeah.
Chairman, errand boys of governors. That's what
I hope that the things that we do here in the studio, because this is a form of orientation,
it is. We set agenda.
That, it can cascade down even to the local government level, that the people listening to us can take all of these strategies and these ideas and share it with their friends and family and discuss it, write it on their WhatsApp, write it on their Facebook, instead of tweeting about Big Brother.
Shaking his head.
Tweeting about Big Brother, tweet about what's going on in your local government.
Before we react to that, let's take this caller.
Tweet about
Hello. Good evening, sir. Welcome to Matters Arising on KAFTAN Television, live in Katampe, Abuja, the nation's capital. Go ahead.
Yeah, my name is Honorable Iboko.
Honorable Iboko, go ahead.
I'm calling from Abakaliki, Ebonyi State.
Okay, go ahead, sir. Your contribution in 30 seconds.
The problem of the local government is the problem of Nigeria. It's leadership failure. The political parties have failed us. The government has failed us. If we have a strong political party with ideology, the local government chairman that contested under a party will carry out the manifesto of the party and will not be a subject to anybody. The Constitution of Nigeria has made it very clear. Functions for the president, functions for the governor, and functions for the local government. But because we don't have a very strong political party with ideology, that is why local government chairman has become errand boys to governors. It's not supposed to be so. With this financial autonomy now, I understand they have set up a 10-man committee to implement it. The 10-man committee will be following local government chairmen to their houses. Because the governors will also use their own position to track the local government.
Off your mic.
God bless you.
Thank you. You can see that Nigerians are very
honorable wants to
methodical. Nigerians are methodical.
Honestly,
he said they will follow them to their house.
Just like what the caller said, that is about leadership.
Yeah.
It's not about whether it's the law or whatever, or convention. But it's just that we as Nigerians, we love to just copy the bad norms rather than the good ones. I know, like they always say, once these things spread and then become widely practiced, for us it becomes
a culture,
a culture and a convention here as well in the country. If not, today as we speak, honestly, why I still want to maintain that positivity, but I can also assure you, that to really get the local governments working, despite the Supreme Court judgment, is going to be an uphill task.
Yeah.
Because it's difficult for the left hand to change its spots. Very difficult. In fact, is it even possible? Because the local government people are also politicians. I know that the first interest of a normal politician in Nigeria today is transactional. What am I going to get out of it? I know that in many local government systems in the country today, that all the governors did was simple. Once the allocations came, they'll just say, local government chairman, for this month, I'm giving you 5 million. Councillors, for this month, I will give you 3 million.
And they say, yes, sir.
Yes, sir. And once the money is sent to their bank accounts, that's all. Whether the local government got $1 billion that particular month, it's no more their business. Whether their staff are even paid. That's why today, in the public service, the people who are treated as if they are subhuman are the local government staff. In some states, they pay them based on percent. Maybe this month they will pay them 30% of their salaries. Next month, maybe they will say, okay, let's manage to give you guys 20%.
And they have no job to do.
And they have no other thing to do. That in local government system in this country.
Yeah.
So I just pray. We just pray, and we are positive.
On that prayer, let's take this prayer. Good evening. Could you turn down the volume of your TV? We can hear you loud and clear, but turn down the volume of your television set and go ahead, sir.
Okay.
He wants to hear himself.
Keep turning it down. Bring it down to the barest. Thank you. Go ahead, sir. We can hear you.
Yeah, I just want to speak on this local government autonomy.
Go ahead. It's your show.
Yes, my name is Jerry. I am calling from Edo State.
Okay, Jerry, go ahead. 30 seconds. Give us your thoughts.
Yeah, I think this local government or financial autonomy is the best thing that I believe that ever happens to local government.
Okay.
Because if we really look at it, the governor has not been giving the local government a breathing space at all. Because if you look at the bundle which the governors are putting upon the local government in terms of dictating for how their money are being spent is something that is terrible in Nigeria.
Okay.
The man or the woman in the village, he or she does not know the governor. He or she does not know the president. I think the governor and the president that he or she is supposed to know is the local government chairman. If, for instance, the water is not working, the road is not working, the primary health care, whatever, is not working, he or she can easily walk down to the local government and say, Mr. Chairman, this is what we are facing in my locality. That is how it's supposed to be.
Okay.
But if all these local government chairman, the governor is even allowing them to spend their allocation the way it's supposed to be, I think the development will go around all our localities.
Thank you so much.
In that case, you discover that even in the sense of agriculture, like we having all these working implements like machines to work in the farm, it will be very easy for a young man to walk down to the local government. Please, I want to hire a tractor
to
do one or two things to establish a farm in my locality. But all these things are no longer there simply because the finance that's supposed to be for the local government are being hijacked by the governor.
Thank you very
and
much.
That's why you discover that. That's why you discover that during an election, like in Edo State now, the governor would like to have 18 over 18.
Okay.
Because you don't want to have any opposition in terms of at least bouncing on the finance of the local government.
Thank you. Other callers are waiting.
I appreciate the government for this wonderful one. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your caller. We're going to take a short break. When we return, the program continues. Without being a moment, please stay with us. When we say on KAFTAN TV, imagine a beautiful world, we're not just bragging.
Do you want wider patronage of your goods and services?
Do you want your goods and services to have traction?
Do you desire to make more sales and increase your return on investment?
KAFTAN TV has got you covered because you can achieve all this with reasonable amount of money.
With modest charges, we are the best around here for advertising and product promotion.
Whatever you want to say it for us on KAFTAN TV.
We are a global multimedia platform aimed at positioning the African viewpoint
on Startimes channels 480 and 124 and free-to-air NIGCOMSAT channels 12518, symbol rate 29500.
With crystal clear digital signals, we reach no fewer than 54 million viewers around the world. For advert bookings and sponsorship of programs, please call
Silas on 081 615 19559, Khadija on 070 713 72115, or Ruben on 080 234 47703.
KAFTAN TV.
Imagine a beautiful world.
You're welcome back. If you are just joining us, this is Matters Arising on KAFTAN Television, live from Katampe, the nation's capital in Abuja. We are here discussing the local government financial autonomy against the backdrop of the 10-man interministerial committee that was set up yesterday to be chaired by the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Senator George Akume. Guys, the last caller mentioned something that caught my attention, and he did talk about the fact that local government chairmen, the elected ones, and their communities cohabit within the same community, and that gives them unfettered access to the local government chairman because they live together, they know them. And he talked about the accessibility of implements, like if you want to talk about agricultural development, he talked about accessibility to things like tractors for them to use to till their farms, and whether it's for them for hire, or for lease and things like that, against where you need to leave the local government area council and rush to the state government, which is Herculean. And to me, he brought something very, very instructive, and it's like a new vista of conversation in what we're talking about, building on what we've been saying.
It's nothing new.
Exactly.
It's not new. Earlier I told you that I grew up in the local government. When we were growing up in the local government system, agriculture was a very serious component of local government administration. Agriculture. In fact, we got agricultural loans from the local government with implements and inputs so that we can farm cassava and yam commercially, and then pay back this single-digit with a single-digit interest.
You see?
And we did it in this country. Local government provided everything. The local government took care of primary schools.
It looks like I wasn't born when all this things happened.
You were not born.
It sounds very alien to me.
In the primary school that we attended, it was a very solid primary school, well structured, with best teaching staff. When you talk about quality, I'm talking about primary school. I'm not talking about secondary. I'm talking about primary school. And who managed these schools? The local government system.
Okay, let's take this caller before our Gen Z make our contribution.
I can't believe you just called me Gen Z.
Go ahead. Good evening. This is Matters Arising.
Good evening. This is Mr. Mark on the line.
Mr. Mark, please could you raise your voice a little bit so that you'll be more audible for everybody to hear you?
Can you hear me?
Loud and clear. Go ahead, Mr. Mark. Your contribution, please, in 30 seconds.
Not without wasting much of our time. I just want to ask a question before adding maybe 2 or 3 things.
Make it 2. Ask your question and ask 2.
The question is, if Supreme Court is giving local government autonomy, then what happens to the electionarial system of the local government? Why is it the state that is still conducting the local government election?
Okay.
There should be something to be arranged concerning the electionarial system of the local government. Because as long as the state still conduct the election, to us, we felt as if it's as somebody killing a snake without cutting off the head of the snake.
Okay.
And again, when they are talking about the system of the local government, one of those days, just like Mr. Okoro was saying, God bless you, sir. From 1999 to 2003, those systems were properly arranged and everything was going on. Suddenly, as from 2007, things began to take another style. Like a joke. Look at where we are today. Isn't that funny enough for a 33 local government from Oyo State to come out and say they want to be out of the system that was arranged even before they get to where they are now? Yes. It means they are under the remote control of the governor. So they are just there to dance together. And as long as those things is not being arranged, whether a state government is conducting an election, it's not going to help matter. That is why most of the time when the election is being arranged, people don't turn up, because you cannot just come and waste your time. And at the end of the day, they will tell you this is how it's been arranged. Once election is being conducted by a sitting governor, it's very assured that that sitting governor party is going to emerge unanimously as the winner of the whole local government. There won't be any
opposition
left on top. Everything, both the councillors and everything that has been appointed. So if truly federal government still want to help us, let them go by making sure that the electoral system of the local government is conducted by the federal and is INEC from the are done. If not so, then the governor's election also should be conducted in the state. Every state should conduct its own election. Let's see whether we cannot get it right.
Okay, thank you. Evelyn,
I was going to say that one of the things I would like to see on programs like this, when Mr. Okoro was describing politicians earlier, I would like to get phone calls from people that are in office, or people that were in office in the past. Like, I'm always wondering, are they not watching these programs? Do they not have anything to say? And why are they, if for example, that everybody is crazy?
Sometimes guilt will not allow you to contribute because you're part of the problem. Nigerians want to put it behind.
Yeah, so this is my open call to them to say, don't feel guilty. We don't bite. Please call us. We want to understand your trail of thoughts and your thinking.
It's like you have, for instance, if you have contributed in, destroying a system.
Yes.
And then they're talking about way forward. I
said today that I want to be positive. So I want to believe that in our 700, I'm trying my best in our 774 local government areas. Mr. John, would you say that the corruption is spreads across 100%? We don't have one person that would make heaven from the local government.
Can't you mention one yourself?
Well, I think my local government.
Let's take this caller. We want you to respond to that question. No, we have lost the caller, unfortunately.
Mr. Okoro,
well, I think
nobody from the local government is making heaven.
I think the local government itself as an
entity. Chairman is watching you.
The local government itself as an entity is not the problem. I think the problem is from the state governors and the state houses of assembly.
So it's a
systemic problem. It's not about I think there are
so the local government issues are a response
exactly. So the local government says they are just there.
They're just there.
They can do nothing about the situation.
Right.
because they can't. In fact, do you know that at the time, I think it was in 2019, the Nigerian Financial Intelligence Unit, NFI, actually, in response to this problem in 2019, actually ordered banks not to release money accruable to the local government to the states.
To the state, yeah.
In fact, they even actually flagged the accounts so that on daily what they call it, that daily withdrawals will not exceed 500,000.
Yeah.
But do you know, the governors actually cried and said, oh, this is against the law, and that particular move was scuttled. Hence this time. And again, like the last caller said, from our understanding, the Supreme Court did not give autonomy. The local government has always been, the local government system has always been autonomous, because even when the Attorney General of the Federation went to the Supreme Court, he went there with some prayers. I think 27 of them, and those prayers were predicated upon the Constitution, not upon something else, on the Constitution. So what the Supreme Court did was just to re-emphasize what the Constitution had said, and then try to give a kind of orders for its enforcement.
This is why people should watch Matters Arising. It's always packed with history. And you know, the history has, now that we don't have history as part of academic curriculums, I guess that is why I don't know anything that happened before I was born and the local government that was functioning. And your village seems like it was paradise. You know, the way I see and understand what's going on today, a lot of people in my generation do not even have the knowledge that there was a working or functional Nigeria. So we just believe that we were born into the dysfunction, it's dysfunctional, and it would remain dysfunctional.
Unfortunately, that's how it's been.
I think we have a caller.
We have a caller. We lost the caller.
But we lost the caller.
I think for me too.
I
think there should be, whether there's a Supreme Court judgment which has to be obeyed, whether we change our laws, whether whatever, I think we have to change our and psychology and our attitude towards governance in this country. That's where the problem lies. It is our attitude that is the issue, not whether we have a good law or whether we have the judgment or that judgment. No, it is our attitude. And once we have the right attitude and the right people in the system, in terms of leadership, I can tell you that things will turn out for the better.
And speaking more positively about the situation, I want to call people to do more self-reflection and, you know, searching your own hearts. Before you go to bed tonight and you lay on your bed, you ask yourself, am I part of Nigeria's problems? In what way am I contributing to the issues? And make that effort to change. You know exactly what you're doing and you know that it's wrong, so make that effort to change, because the idea of shared prosperity is that we can all thrive and we can all succeed and there can be better for all of us.
Well, my take is that every president comes from a local government, and every state governor, deputy governor, and all senators and House of Representatives and everybody in the system in public sector comes from a local government. So why would you do things that are inimical to the interest for the progress of local governments where you come from? This is how far we can go on our package tonight on Matters Arising. We thank our esteemed viewers and our vibrant callers who call in to make the program interactive and conversational. On behalf of our producer Ruben Okala and the entire production team that made the program a success, my name is Maucauley Hunohashi saying good night and see you next time.
I am John Okoro. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
And I'm Evelyn Epelle. Sleep well.
And as we say on KAFTAN TV,
imagine a beautiful world.